You've heard from the Sports Lab Overtime, Sports Scene, Twigs with Jeremy St. Louis, Sports Lab with our INC students, and Jeff and Zach on Tailgate. Now, it's time to bring it all together. This is This Week in Gators Sports Overtime, your extra coverage and insider look at everything in Gator Nation.
Okay, let's do this. Let's get this thing underway. Here come the Gators.
We're kicking off this week in Gator Sports Overtime with our Gators football beat team, and they've been staying strong all season long. It's been a season of ups and downs. We're joined by Tori Kitchens to my right, Nick Abreu to my left, and I'll be honest, guys, I thought we'd be having a much different conversation this week. Saturday, I had to watch the second half on mute just because the football team just has just been a disappointment all around. And I understand there's been a coaching change, and some players have had struggles and haven't played up to their potential. But I felt like it all came to a head in Lexington Saturday. Tori, you wrote the game story for us. Starting with you, just what went wrong?
I don't think I have ever wanted to turn off a football game more in my life, if I'm being completely honest with you. There was just this team just doesn't look like they're together anymore. I have been convinced ever since Billy Gonzalez stepped into the role that the chemistry would still be there. The locker room would still be close together, and it's just not seeming that way anymore. And that low energy is kind of bleeding into Gator Nation as a whole. Like, people are just losing interest. My father, for example, says he wants to jump into the transfer portal of
I
as
can't
a
blame
fan.
him. Hey,
I don't either. I told him he wasn't allowed to, but that was his thought. But it's not surprising that that's kind of the sentiment at this point.
Yeah, Nick, DJ Lagway, 3 interceptions, benched in the second half. Obviously, that was the big headline coming out of Saturday's games. Your thoughts on Lagway, his regression this season overall, and what happens for the Gators moving forward?
Yeah, first off, I knew it was going to be a bad game when I turned on the game, and I was watching the wrong game because the game before hadn't finished, and,
right.
the stupid thing with YouTube TV and ESPN,
so
it was hard
bad.
for me to watch it anyway, so I couldn't get in until like halfway through the first quarter.
We're not going to talk about where you were watching that game.
Yeah.
I don't want to out you in case.
Yeah,
you know.
just it was hard to watch.
Yeah.
It was hard to watch in multiple ways. Yeah, but
Right.
DJ Lagway, those 3 interceptions, getting benched at halftime. I think it's about time. Thank God. I think throughout the year there were multiple times where he probably should have been benched.
Yeah.
Where he wasn't playing well, and you just give your team a better chance at winning if you try something new, whether it works or not. Just try something, because DJ Lagway wasn't gonna help us in that game. I mean, we saw the same thing against LSU. A few other games where he's played poorly. Miami, he played really poorly,
Right.
but that was still earlier in the season.
Yeah.
I think it was a necessary evil. I think he had to be benched for his own good, for the team's own good. And I think it's just a result of what we've seen. I think the last couple games have really showed Gator fans that DJ Lagway is a lot bigger of a problem from this team than we may have thought of before the Billy Napier firing. I think Billy Napier was kind of the scapegoat for a lot of DJ Lagway's problems for most of the season.
Yeah.
But I think now it's clear that, yes, Billy Napier deserved to be fired. His play calling was not good enough. But also, DJ Lagway's play has not been up to par. DJ Lagway has to have some of that blame now put on him, because even 2 weeks after Billy Napier's firing, it's arguably gotten worse.
Yeah, without question. I would say who also deserves the blame, Tori, is the defense. 38 points to Kentucky. I mean, it was over as soon as it started, it seemed like, with Kentucky scoring 21 points in that second quarter. What happened to the defense?
Great question. I don't know if they even showed up in
Did they give
Lexington.
up?
Did they not get on the bus or something? I don't
Right.
understand. But I think that Miles Graham said it after the game that they didn't practice right all week, which was kind of, I think that he caught himself in saying that. He was like, oh, I shouldn't have said that. But that was an indicator to me that this team's just no longer in it. I feel like they're just pushing through games to get through games. They're not trying they're trying to win, but are they? They're just trying to get through whatever this season is going to be, especially now knowing that a bowl game is probably
sort of out
off
of
the
reach.
table.
Yeah, kind of. Gators right now 3-6 overall, 2-4 in the SEC. Tori, you mentioned pushing through. I mean, can you push through a team like Ole Miss?
No.
So what do you think is going to happen this weekend?
See, I let my guard down last week and picked Florida for the first
You
time.
did.
And
You see what happens?
of course that didn't work out. But I don't think that Florida even has a chance against Ole Miss. I think the one thing that could save them is Gator Nation showing up in Oxford, which I don't even know if that's going to happen at this point but Ole Miss's student section has been empty every single week, and Lane Kiffin's been fed up with that, as we've seen through his social media. So I just think that I don't even see it as possible, if I'm being honest with you.
Not even being close. I mean, Vegas doesn't either. You look at the 14.5-point spread. Nick, when Billy Napier was first fired, you had the story on the top coaching candidates, Lane Kiffin being one of those candidates, and the odds have improved week to week. Right now, a -300 favorite to become the next Gators head coach. What does this game mean potentially for the future when you look at Lane Kiffin possibly being in Gainesville next season?
Yeah, you asked Tori about whether the Gators had a chance in this game. I don't even think that matters anymore. I think you're really playing in this game to convince Kiffin more than you're playing to win the game.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think the chances are not terrible. We've seen those odds gradually increase, and I think the reason for that is because we've yet to see him sign that contract extension that the Ole Miss athletic director has been saying he's been working toward for weeks now, since Kirk Cincinnati got his contract extension. So it's been a long time now, and he still hasn't put pen to paper. So it really begs the question whether he's really committed to this program right now, whether he really thinks they have the talent, the resources to go all the way. Yes, they're a top 10 team right now, but who's to say that they don't drop one of these last two games kind of towards the back end of that playoff ranking and then just drop out of the first round. I don't know if he's satisfied with that.
Yeah.
Also, in his Monday press conference, someone asked him about what makes a head coaching job attractive nowadays in the days of NIL.
Right.
And his response really convinced me that maybe he'd be interested in Florida. Because first of all, the fact that he responded with a 2-minute rant when he knows that he's rumored for this Florida job and the week ahead is to play Florida, it was obvious this reporter was trying to make that kind of connection with it. So the fact that he gave that big of a response, and his answers were the commitment to the football team, the financial commitment to the football team, the NIL collective, the facilities that are available. Another thing he said, the history, the blue blood, the blue programs that have the Heismans, that have the championships. Everything he said aligned more with the Florida job than the Ole Miss job, which makes me think that maybe his eyes are open to Florida might be able to get me over the hump, even though their roster's not that great right now. If I can get in there, cement my own roster, they'll give me the resources I need to take it all the way.
Yeah, certainly doesn't sound like he is sticking around in Ole Miss and Oxford at all. Another thing that he's aligning with is his Twitter account, Tori. Yeah. He retweeted DJ Lagway being benched Saturday. We know Kiffin's a troll, but what do you make of his continued trolling after tweeting the news of Lagway being benched?
When I saw that people were reposting that Lane Kiffin reposted that, I thought it was a joke.
Right.
I thought that it was one of those fake accounts that was sharing that, and then I go to Lane Kiffin's account myself and see it right in front of me, and I'm like, there's absolutely no way that he's real. He just, I don't know. I feel like he's trying to make it seem like he either really wants it or doesn't want it at all. But I don't know. I think that he is more into it than people are giving people are realizing, because like Nick said, he's always looked up to Spurrier. He's always wanted that. He's said that it was one of his dream jobs a few years back. So I think that it's absolutely possible. And his Twitter's funny. I do think that might be throwing Scott Strickland off a bit.
Yeah. Without question.
So, yeah.
Yeah. You know, a scenario that came up yesterday, I was talking to someone, and that was the potential scenario. I also saw this on social media as well, of Ole Miss blowing out Florida Saturday and Kiffin signing an extension either at halftime or after the game. Did you guys see that? Hear that? Could you imagine if that were to happen?
Break my heart.
That'd be insane. That's
ultimate
that's
troll.
never happened before, right? Like that's physically like not possible, right? There's no way he can just go into the locker room. They just have it ready on like his locker.
That's the thing.
He would do that,
that's
though.
The thing.
He's
I would
such
say
a
of
troll.
all the coaches,
of
all coaches to do that, right? It would be Kiffin. It would be Kiffin. And we see some news trickle out at halftime that, man, could you
He's just
imagine?
been kind of raising our hopes this entire time just
Exactly.
to break them at halftime, just to make it better for him.
All right, guys, as we wrap up here on Twigs OT, let's just give our predictions. I mean, we don't have to predict whether or not Kiffin's going to sign an extension at halftime, but at least on the score, Nick, starting with you, what do you think happens Saturday?
It's definitely a blowout.
Yeah.
It depends.
Gators don't stand a chance?
No, the Gators do not stand a chance, especially after that Kentucky game. The confidence is at an all-time low.
Yeah.
I don't know who's going to show up. I don't know who's going to even play if we start seeing those red shirts trickle in. So
Does Lagway get benched? How about that? Did he get benched 2 weeks in a row? Is this the last we may see of him this season?
I don't think Tramel Jones will play. I think DJ Lagway is definitely going to get the start. Billy Gonzalez has already alluded to that. And then I think if he continues to play terribly like he did in Kentucky, he will get benched. But I don't think Tramel Jones will come in just so that he can preserve his red shirt, and then maybe he can start the last two games if DJ Lagway continues to struggle.
Yeah.
But as I was saying, in terms of a score, it depends if the defense wants to show up if they don't give up like they did against Kentucky.
Yeah.
But the offense isn't doing anything, so I'll give the offense like maybe 10 points. So like maybe like 30-10 for Ole Miss.
All right. Tori, your predictions on the score and whether or not Lagway plays the entire game.
Well, I'm not picking Florida. I'm not making that same mistake again. But our fellow beat reporter Hunter DeLauder picked 41-10 Ole Miss, which I think was pretty on the money, which I don't usually agree with Hunter on score predictions. So, but I'll give it 41-17.
41-17.
I'll give Florida an extra touchdown there.
All right. What about Lagway?
I could see him getting benched if he throws 2 interceptions in the first half. Okay. Those 3 interceptions just in one half alone. Insane. He probably would have had a similar outcome to LSU for those 5 interceptions if he had been kept in the whole game. Yeah. The defense was reading him well. He was not making good throws or smart decisions at all, and I think that if they want to even have a shot, they can't let him go much past 2 interceptions.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. We'll have to wait and see. Of course, that's Tori Kitchens and Nick Abreu. They are 2 of our 3 Gators football beat reporters. And who's covering the game this weekend? Who was it?
I got it.
Nick's got the game, so be sure to check out his recap this Saturday, coming after the game on WRUF.com. Be sure to check out Tori's scouting report as well, which came out earlier today, scouting Ole Miss. And be sure to check out their coverage all throughout the season as well. Tori, Nick, thanks for joining us on Twigs OT.
Thank you.
I'm Abigail Justice, and I'm here with
Grace Harlan.
And we're playing This or That Gator Sports. Night or noon game at the Swamp.
Night game.
A game versus FSU or Georgia.
FSU.
Gators in March Madness or the College World Series.
March Madness.
1-point win or blowout victory.
1 point.
UF homecoming or rivalry game.
Rivalry game.
Albert or Alberta.
Alberta.
Go Gators or it's great to be a Florida Gator.
Go Gators.
Back here on This Week in Gators Sports Overtime. Right now we're joined by our SEC beat team, Jordan Castagliola, as well as Wade Ziegler, joining us to talk SEC football and a couple big top 25 matchups, starting off with Texas-Georgia. Georgia favored by 5.5 in that game against Texas. And I'm not going to lie, guys. Pretty surprised that it's only 5.5 when you look at that game. You look at Texas and the way they've played so far. And Georgia, while looking beatable, is still Georgia. Who wants to start off with this one? Wade, Jordan, break this one down for us.
Well, I think the big reason, as you say, if you look at it on paper, it is a bit of a surprise that it's such a close game. But the reason why is because it's been a tale of two halves this year for Texas. The beginning part of the year, you're right, they struggled. They had a bad game against Ohio State, and they struggled against a bunch of bad teams. And they struggled against Florida and lost in an upset loss at Florida. But in their past 4 games, they've been playing a lot better. And a big reason for that, quarterback Arch Manning. He had an abysmal start to the season, despite being called by pundits like Paul Feinbaum as the greatest quarterback prospect in the history of college football. In the past 4 games, he's thrown 7 touchdowns to 1 interception, averaged 243 passing yards per game, and just last week in their big win against Vanderbilt, he posted his highest QBR rating of the entire season.
Yeah, but, Wade, this game is in Athens, right? And of course, the Georgia Bulldogs are home. They're tough to beat at home. They just had their home winning streak broken earlier this year. They're at home. I mean, the home crowd and Texas going in, we've seen how they played all season long. You talk about Arch Manning and his struggles this season. Do you really think that he can sort of weather that crowd and pull the Longhorns out for a victory?
I mean, yes, he is a young quarterback, but I mean, at this point, he's been thrown into the fire and has played in tough environments. I wouldn't say Ohio State would be a tougher environment than Stanford, albeit he did not play well against Ohio State. But he played well in a very formidable environment at Mississippi State a few weeks ago. Those cowbells, even though it's a smaller stadium, those cowbells are intimidating to play against. And a big reason why Texas is so close in this game is because they match up well against Georgia. Georgia's offense, while Gunnar Stockton has been a great quarterback for them this year and has made few mistakes, they rely on the running game and their two-headed monster of Nate Frazier and Chauncey Bowens that average 5.5 yards a carry. Texas's rush defense sits first in the SEC, one of the best in the country against the rush. That's a big reason why they are only a 5.5-point underdog on the road.
Jordan.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and say I think this game I think the spread should be wider.
Yeah.
I think that Texas has not done well on the road. Their road games are a loss at Ohio State, a loss at Florida, and 2 overtime wins against inferior SEC teams. They only have 1 Power 5 win by more than 1 possession. And against all common opponents with Georgia, Georgia has done better. And it's in Athens.
Right.
So
Right.
I think Arch Manning is going to have his best game of the season, and Georgia might have to have its worst game of the season. I mean, obviously, these are 2 very good teams, but I think the cards are really lined up in Georgia's favor for this.
Yeah, I would agree. We talk about Arch Manning, but let's talk about the quarterback on the other side, Jordan.
Yeah.
Gunnar Stockton having a solid season this year. What type of game do you expect to see from him Saturday?
Yeah, I don't know. I think that he needs to play clean ball, not many turnovers. He's only thrown 2 interceptions all season. I think Georgia tends to start very slow this season. We see it every single game. They either go down early or they don't run away until late in the game. So I think Georgia's going to have an advantage in this game as long as the quarterback play is sound from Gunnar Stockton, just no unforced errors.
Now, switching gears over to another top 25 matchup with Alabama and Oklahoma. Looking at the spread in that one, Alabama 5.5-point favorites again in that matchup. And I think also a potential preview of the college football playoff. I think I saw the latest bracket and saw those 2 teams could be matched up again in the postseason. How do you guys see this one playing out?
Well, I mean, it's Oklahoma the past few weeks has been a little bit of a mixed bag for them. Obviously, they got a big win last week at Tennessee, but the week before that, they had a really poor showing against an Ole Miss team that many were thinking they were going to beat. And a big reason why is because of Oklahoma's defense finally showing some cracks. Just 3 weeks ago, it was top in the SEC in every single category. Since then, it's given up nearly 80 points over the past 2 weeks. Their 2 highest totals that they've given up all season long. and their defense has fallen off as a result. They're now 4th in passing. They're now 3rd against the rush, albeit they are still the top scoring defense. But a big reason why they've kind of fallen off and why they come into this game as quite a significant underdog in my eyes is because that defense, when they've gone up against these elite offenses, has really struggled.
Yeah, I mean, we've also seen Alabama's offense struggle a little bit. Ty Simpson, you look at that South Carolina game, Jordan. What do you expect to see from this Alabama offense? Can they get it going early on?
Yeah, I feel like it's going to be a very passing-centric attack. Oklahoma is very good against the run defensively, and Alabama just doesn't really focus on the run a lot. So I think Oklahoma is going to focus on the pass defense and rely on that line to kind of just prevent Alabama from having a good rushing performance. See if you can only rush 4 and stop them instead of having to rush 5 or 6. Yeah.
All right. Let's call it, guys. Now, we've previewed both these games, and now I want to make the call, whether it be Texas, Georgia, Oklahoma, Alabama. Wade, starting with you, who you got, Texas or Georgia?
I think the odds and just the factors favor Georgia a bit too much. They are, on paper, a much better team than Texas, even though Texas has been playing much better. Texas is going to go in desperate because they really need that win if they want to continue on their path to the college football playoff. They really need that signature win. But ultimately, I just think there's too many factors going against them, and they're just not going to be able to get it done.
All right, Jordan, your pick.
Yeah, I agree. I'm picking Georgia in this one. I think they're on a roll. I think they're one of the best teams in the country. They got it at home. Texas isn't good on the road. I think Georgia's got this.
All right, let's pick Alabama, Oklahoma. Who you got, Jordan?
I've got Alabama, but
Uh-oh.
I think Oklahoma's desperate. I think if they lose this game, they're out of the playoffs. And we know how bad Alabama and Kalen DeBoer have been against mobile quarterbacks. We saw at the beginning of the year against Tommy Castellanos. If John Mateer can get some magic with his legs and get something done on offense, it could be close. But I think Alabama's going to get this one.
All right, Wade.
Well, you brought up John Mateer, and that is the X factor for Oklahoma. And while he looked like a Heisman quarterback before his injury, ever since then, he has looked absolutely terrible. He's only thrown 2 touchdowns to 4 interceptions since his return in the Red River rivalry. Ultimately, I don't see how he's going to pick up his play enough for Oklahoma to get this victory. I have Alabama just having a comfortable win and continuing to put their stamp on the season that they are the top dog of the SEC.
All right, guys, we have about a minute left here on this segment. I want to quickly touch on the coaching carousel that we've seen, unlike any other that we've seen in recent seasons, particularly in the SEC. You look at all the jobs that are available right now. Lane Kiffin, obviously a hot name for many of them. What do you think is a top destination for a coach looking to leave?
I think the top destination in the SEC right now is Florida, just because of how much instability there is with LSU. You have a governor that's now sticking his beak into this hiring, an AD gone, no president. It's just an absolute clown show in LSU, whereas Florida has stability. But I do think that Florida is not the top job in the country. I think that belongs to Penn State.
All right. How about you, Jordan?
Interesting. I also think Florida is the best job right now. Maybe I'm a bit of a homer, but LSU's a great job. Like you said, the instability. I just think Florida has the resources, but also I would say don't underestimate the Auburn job because I think the expectations for an Auburn coach are low. I think you're in a great area with talent. I think the staff over there, the people in that program, they are ready. All they need is a good coach in that position.
Yeah.
So I think that's a good job, if not Florida or LSU.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see
Yeah.
how it all shakes out. That's Jordan and Wade. Join us here on Twigs Overtime. Be sure to check out all their work on WRUF.com. Also on YouTube as well, as Jordan will sort of break down the college football playoff postseason for us from an SEC perspective. So Jordan, Wade, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Abigail Justice, and I'm here with,
Ben.
and we're playing This or That Gators Sports. Night or noon game at the Swamp.
I like the night games.
A game versus FSU or Georgia.
FSU.
Gators in March Madness or the College World Series.
March Madness for sure.
1-point win or blowout victory.
Probably 1-point win.
UF homecoming or a rivalry game.
Rivalry game.
Albert or Alberta.
Gotta go Alberta.
Go Gators, or it's great to be a Florida Gator?
I like it's great to be a Florida Gator.
Back here on This Week in Gators Sports Overtime, and we're joined by our AP Top 25 team, Morgan Vasquez over here to my right, and Jake Hoffman over to my left. They're here to break down the Top 25 as we are approaching the postseason here. Just a couple weeks left, guys, and a lot of shakeup in the AP poll this week. Jake, take us through it.
2 weeks ago was a very chaotic week. Last week of college football. Not too many upsets, but if you're a fan of an ACC team, you'll definitely want to tune in. Virginia and Louisville, the two biggest losers of the week, both being taken down at home in upset games. Virginia dropped 8 spots to number 20, the biggest decline in the poll, while Louisville dropped 5 spots to number 19. And now the big question is, who is the top dog in the ACC? A few weeks ago, we all would have said it's Miami, but of course, with their recent struggles, it seems like they might be completely out of playoff contention.
Yeah.
Georgia Tech lost a couple weeks ago to the NC State Wolfpack. While they enjoyed their bye week, though, they jumped up 2 spots in the poll because Virginia and Louisville both got taken down. So there's definitely a world where no ACC teams even make the college football playoff, depending how it falls out.
Wow.
But if Georgia Tech wins out, they have their last game of the season against Georgia. That'll really be the determining factor of who, if anyone, makes it out of that conference.
Now, the real poll and the real results that people are looking at, college football playoff. Selection committee came out with their latest rankings. Morgan, what stood out to you?
Well, I mean, it was only the second poll this past Tuesday, and there were a couple shakeups. BYU is missing after they made an appearance in the first bracket and after their loss to Texas Tech. And Miami is in. Miami was not in the first poll. They are currently the projected ACC champion. However, there's a couple paths where that doesn't happen. If Pittsburgh can win out over their next 2 ACC opponents after they play Notre Dame, they might make it to the ACC championship, and that might be their path. But also Georgia Tech. If Georgia Tech makes it to the ACC championship and wins out over, say, Pittsburgh or, say, Miami, then they're in, and that'll probably be the only ACC team. And Miami, I don't see them staying in.
Yeah, interesting. I mean, talk about Vanderbilt a little bit. Potentially they may be out. Is that right?
Yeah, Vanderbilt is not on it right now, and honestly, I don't see them making another appearance. They only play Kentucky, unranked Kentucky, and then number 21 Tennessee coming up, and neither of those wins would be enough, in my opinion, to boost them on to the 12-team format, and a loss would just destroy them, unfortunately.
Some controversy there with Pitt coach Pat Narduzzi. What's going on there?
Yeah. So Pitt plays Notre Dame this weekend, and they're not a part of a conference, and so he says it's not a must-win game for them. He said that they could get blown out by hundreds of points, and he wouldn't care because they're not an ACC opponent. They're only looking forward to playing Georgia Tech and the other last ranked opponent. The other last ACC opponent that they have, because
Miami.
That's what matters in order to get them to the championship.
Yeah.
And that was very critical of kind of, the way that college football does their playoffs.
Absolutely. Guys, let's get into it. Game predictions. We have 4 matchups to predict. Starting off with you, Jake. Florida, Ole Miss. Can the Gators upset the potential next coach, Lane Kiffin?
Obviously, Gator fans, we've all been let down recently. It's sad to say. It's going to be an interesting game. I don't even think Billy Gonzalez has confirmed our QB1, assuming it will be DJ Lagway under center, but he's allowing all the quarterbacks to get reps with the first team. I'm sure the Ole Miss fans in Oxford, they're going to be chanting Kiffin's name loud and proud with all the rumors swirling around him coming to Florida. So I'm sure Ole Miss, while they may be heavy favorites, I'm sure that they're going to have a high motor going into this one, hearing that their head coach may be coming to Florida next year.
All right, next game, Morgan. Top 10 matchup, Georgia hosting Texas. Who you got?
Gosh, this is a really tough call given their history. I remember all the drama with the SEC championship last season. And, a bad loss for Texas to Georgia might be enough to knock them out of the bracket, which would be wild.
Yeah.
And I think we've seen a lot of improvement out of Arch Manning since he had that very shaky start to the season. But Gunnar Stockton is a dog. So,
literally.
Georgia.
All right. Morgan going with Georgia. Jake, another big matchup. Alabama hosting Oklahoma. Who you got?
On the show, I've always been backing the Crimson Tide. I don't know if it's Ty Simpson. I don't know if it's that defense. I think it's just a mix of everything.
Yeah.
I love this Alabama team. They've had one of the hardest schedules, if not the hardest one in college football. Oklahoma, John Mateer is just not the same quarterback he was the first month of the season. Alabama's at home. They're 5.5-point favorites. I think they're going to blow Oklahoma out of the water and kiss their playoff hopes goodbye.
All right. Morgan, take us home.
Yeah.
Literally. We're talking about Miami. You from Miami area?
From Miami.
Miami hosting NC State. Who you got?
Yeah, I mean, NC State's secondary is pretty efficient. They rank third in the ACC in takeaways, so that's awesome for them. But Miami wants to be in the playoffs. They will do anything they can. They need every win. They need every point. And Miami's desperate. They've got this.
All right. You heard it from Morgan and Jake. Those are our picks for this week. This is, of course, our top 25 AP poll team. Be sure to check out all their coverage on WRUF.com, and we'll see if their picks are right this weekend. Morgan, Jake, I want to thank you for coming on Twigs OT.
Thank you.
I'm Abigail Justice, and I'm here with Ale, and we're playing This or That Gator Sports, a night or noon game in the swamp.
Night game for sure.
Game versus FSU or Georgia?
FSU.
Gators in March Madness or the College World Series?
March Madness.
1-point win or blowout victory?
Blowout victory always.
UF homecoming or a rivalry game?
Rivalry.
Albert or Alberta?
Alberta.
It's great to be a Florida Gator or go Gators?
It's great to be a Florida Gator.
We're back here on This Week in Gators Sports Overtime, and we're joined by our excellent NFL beat team, Riley Orovitz and Dalton Salings. And, guys, we got to start with your picks here. You know, you all are the NFL experts. We count on you each and every week to get it right. And I know you guys have your own battle going on between you two, but 0-3 over this last week? Who wants to explain themselves? Riley, Dalton, which one of you guys?
Yeah, I can explain it for us. I believe we did our jobs as well as we can, and the NFL teams just let us down. Buffalo let us down. The Buccaneers let us down. And Jacksonville blew a game that they had no business blowing, giving up, 4 fourth-quarter touchdowns. I believe we made our picks correct, and the NFL teams are the ones that are wrong here.
All right, that's fair. Let's start off with the Bucks. How does the Bucks loss shake up the power rankings for this week, Dalton?
Yeah, so they actually swapped places with the Patriots, who beat them. So the Bucks were in the 3rd spot. They fell all the way down to 6, whereas the Patriots went from 6 to 3. Tampa Bay, this is now losses piling up a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm still not nervous at all about them. I think they can bounce back easily. They play in a weak NFC South. There's still plenty of room for them to grow, but they did slide down 3 spots because of that loss, and the Patriots enter the top 3 for the first this season.
All right, Riley, how about your Dolphins? They got a win over Buffalo. I can't believe it. What did you see from the Dolphins in their win?
The Dolphins finally look like a complete team, shockingly, against the NFL, one of the NFL's best teams in Buffalo. I saw Devon Achane continuing to be amazing for this Dolphins offense. And Buffalo, they just couldn't do the little things right, it seemed. And what I liked about the Dolphins win is that Tua didn't have to play amazing.
Yeah.
He was shy of 200 passing yards, so it wasn't on his back, but it was 3 phases of the game were all clicking.
Yeah. And another week, Mike McDaniel, he survives.
It might have been Chris Greer was the issue. Champ Kelly in his first game. It could happen.
So you got the bad apple out of the building, and now the Dolphins, they look like...
They look better.
Okay, yeah.
I
was gonna say go potentially, Super Bowl contenders.
No.
But
I'll say they look
the way
better.
the season has gone, it's not happening.
It's a little late.
Riley, sticking with you. Let's look at fantasy. Who had the best fantasy performance this week?
Best fantasy performance, I have to give it to Devon Achane. He had 40.5 fantasy points. That's his greatest total since 2023 in that crazy Dolphins-Broncos 70-20 fiasco. He iced the game with 2 plus 50-yard touchdowns,
Mm.
and he did everything through the air as well. He continues to be one of the Dolphins' best receivers.
Yeah.
So as long as they keep feeding him, I believe he had 22 carries also,
Yeah.
which is that was his season high.
Yeah.
So.
Definitely want to look at him if you have him in your fantasy lineup. Speaking of receivers, Dalton, Travis Hunter, season-ending injury there. High expectations coming into the season. #1 overall pick, of course. Talk about his dual role. Not only at wide receiver, but also at corner. Done for the season. Didn't really see him reach his potential this season. How do you think this injury impacts the Dolphins moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, Jacksonville traded up for him. They really wanted him. They brought him in. He's out for the year now. I don't think it will impact them that much. They never really showed they knew how to use Hunter. They couldn't decide if they wanted him as a receiver, as a corner. Obviously, I think this is more of a next year problem. This year was really just feeling out, how is Hunter going to play on both sides of the ball? Where do we want to play him? How much can we give him? Now that he's injured, it means that he's not going to be able to get those reps in on both sides of the ball. I actually think I talked about it a little bit in my power rankings this week. I addressed injuries. The bigger injury, in my opinion, for the Jaguars is that of Brian Thomas Jr. He is their wide receiver 1. He is their alpha. I think they're going to miss him if he can't return this week more than they miss Hunter for the rest of the season.
Yeah, and correction there, #2 overall
Yes.
pick, not the top pick. But I guess when you look at sort of what's happening with Travis Hunter and Jaguars, they had big plans for him, right? And said that, they wanted to use him to his fullest capabilities. But to your point, they just couldn't find an effective role for him. How does this impact any fantasy starters in the coming weeks?
Yeah, we talked about it last week with Jacoby Myers being brought in at wide receiver from the Raiders. He just gets boosted up even more, and Riley talked about it in her fantasy recap as well. Parker Washington has been getting a lot of work. Now, some of that is coming from his value in the punt returning game. He had a punt return touchdown this past week. I expect once Brian Thomas Jr. is back healthy, you're looking at Thomas and Myers in your lineup. Also, should be returning soon from the IR, Brenton Strange, the tight end. With Hunter missing time, Strange is absolutely a player you can play in your lineup.
All right, definitely. Now, I want to kind of take a step away from fantasy. I just want to go back to Hunter, Travis Hunter, in terms of this year, obviously ending in disappointing fashion. What do you think his future is in the NFL, potentially next season and the seasons to come?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that the Jaguars are going to really having a full offseason to take a look at what do we want to do with him, sit down with him, and find what's best. I do not expect him to be a two-way player for his career. He's not Shohei Ohtani.
Yeah.
I think he's going to pick one side of the ball, whatever Jacksonville needs more. I would not be shocked if next year he is playing over 80% of his snaps on defense.
Okay.
That is what Jacksonville needs more. They have pass catchers, and they've invested a lot in the offense. On the defensive side of the ball, the secondary needs help. You saw it. They gave up 4 fourth-quarter touchdowns, albeit it was a fumble return for a touchdown. They need help on the defensive side of the ball. I think Hunter's role in Jacksonville is going to be as a defender. He will still have some packages where he plays offense. He's a great receiver, but I think that he is going to become a defensive-minded player going forward.
Yeah, I would agree. Going forward, speaking of Sunday's games, a lot of all Florida teams in action this week. You have Tampa Bay at Buffalo. Of course, Buffalo coming off of a loss, as well as Tampa Bay coming off a loss. Los Angeles and Jacksonville as Jaguars host the Chargers. And then last in Madrid, Miami, of course, playing against Washington. Riley, kick us off with picks. I hope we go better than 0-3 this week, Riley. So start us off strong.
I hope so, too. I mean, I went against the Dolphins last week, which I won't be doing this week. I think they ride this streak. They look a lot better. I have the Dolphins winning 21, Commanders putting up 14. Washington's allowing 134 rushing yards per game. Speaking of Devon Achane from before, if he can go over 100 yards, I think Miami can win.
Okay. Yep. All right. Dalton, do you agree?
I do not. I do think that Achane will have a big game against Washington. I just don't think it'll be enough. The game's being played in Madrid. Anytime a game goes overseas, weird stuff happens. You saw the Falcons take the Colts to overtime. Those are two teams that should not be competitive. Potentially, no Jaden Daniels. There has been talk about him coming back from his elbow injury. So Marcus Mariota most likely getting the start for Washington. I still think the Commanders win. I have them 24-17 in Madrid.
All right. We will see. Going to our second game, Tampa at Buffalo. Dalton, we'll stick with you. Break that one down for us.
Both teams coming off a tough loss. I think Buffalo bounces back harder. There's a lot of question marks about the health in Tampa Bay. You're looking at maybe Bucky Irving. He was back at practice today in a limited capacity. There's no guarantee he plays. I think the Bills can very easily win this game. the Buccaneers struggled against the ground game, allowing Travion Henderson to go for 2 huge touchdowns. I think that James Cook has a big game for Buffalo, and they pick up the win 32-28.
All right. How about you, Riley? You agree?
I do agree. I have Buffalo winning 31-21. I think last week's collapse was definitely a fluke. I mean, James Cook didn't exceed 55 rushing yards, and Josh Allen still threw for over 300 yards. Like, he's going to be Josh Allen, and I think they'll bounce back this week over a injury-riddled Tampa team.
All right. Last pick before our hot takes. Riley, sticking with you. Jags hosting the Chargers. Who you got?
Jacksonville's looked rough. They've dropped 4 of their last 5 games, and I have the Chargers winning 31-17.
Wow. All right.
Yeah, I'm also going with the Chargers. I have them 35-20. I talked about it in Power Rankings last week. My hot take for the Chargers was about Justin Herbert being an MVP candidate. I'm standing on that. I think he's going to really dominate this Jacksonville defense.
All right. Speaking of hot takes, let's get to our hot takes now. What is your hot take for this Sunday?
Yeah, I know I said I had the Commanders-Dolphins score at 24-17, but my hot take isn't necessarily what I think is going to happen. It's a hot take that might happen. Let's say the Commanders blank the Dolphins. No points for the Dolphins this week in Madrid. They get shut out overseas. The people in Spain are going to think they're the worst football team, and they might not be wrong. But I think the Commanders' defense has a bit of an awakening against the Dolphins. I think Achane can eclipse 100 yards, but just not get in the end zone. I have the Dolphins getting shut out as my hot take.
That is sizzling. That's not just a hot take. That is sizzling, especially coming off the Buffalo win this past week. They're not going to score a point.
Super Bowl hangover.
Oh, there you go. Super Bowl. It was their Super Bowl for sure. Riley, what's your hot take for this week?
That was my Super Bowl, but you're underestimating the Dolphins fan base in Spain. They come out. They really do.
Yeah.
My hot take, sticking with the Dolphins, is Tua throws for over 275. The Commanders are allowing the second most passing yards per game. Their pass defense is horrible. I'm just going to say it how it is. Tua has the ability. I think he goes for over 275.
Do they score?
Do we score?
Miami? Does Miami score?
Yes, I believe Miami scores and wins.
Did you hear that, Dalton?
I heard her, and I think both of our takes will not be right this week because I don't think there's any way Tua throws for 275 and no touchdowns.
We need to record that.
Yeah, for sure. We are recording right now, and so, of course, we will revisit this next week. Actually, we'll revisit it with Dalton. Dalton's going to be holding down the fort. Riley going home early for the well-deserved Thanksgiving break. But, of course, both of them have been working hard all semester long, covering the NFL beat inside and out. Be sure to check out all their coverage on WRUF.com. The picks are getting close here. We're winding down. So, of course, we'll have an update next week and see what happens. I don't know. We'll see if the Dolphins score. We'll see if they can get off another win as well. See what happens in Jacksonville. And then also with Tampa Bay coming off their loss at home against New England. Dalton, Riley, I want to thank you so much for coming on Twigs OT.
I'm Abigail Justice, and I'm here with
Jennifer Lamia.
And we're playing This or That Gator Sports. Night or noon games at the Swamp?
Night.
A game versus FSU or Georgia?
FSU.
Gators in March Madness or the College World Series?
Probably the College World Series.
1-point win or blowout victory?
Blowout victory.
UF homecoming or a rivalry game?
A rivalry game.
Albert or Alberta?
Ooh, Alberta.
Go Gators, or it's great to be a Florida Gator?
Go Gators.
Back here on This Week in Gators Sports Overtime, and right now we're joined by our Gator Soccer Beat team, David Lopez, Macy Meese. They are here to break down some breaking news, some shocking news more than anything. It came down Wednesday afternoon where Samantha Bohan, the head coach of the Gator Soccer program, is head coach no more. She was fired yesterday. Guys, I was talking to a couple of my sources, a parent of one of the players. They were completely blindsided. Went to Bohan's office last night and helped said their goodbyes as Bohan was cleaning out her office. I want to get your reactions to this news, starting with you, Macy.
I mean, crazy to think we're on the same page as the players. Like, I think this is absurd. And if you're really asking me, I have one four-letter word:
what? I'm shocked. I'm seriously so shocked.
Yeah.
I think that the program was seriously on the up. And I saw Coach's leadership and honestly was inspired even just in interviews with her. It's just shocking to me. I think she was such a character for this program, someone really bringing the program on the up. Like, I'm just what?
David.
I share a lot of those sentiments. I think in a few more words than Macy, more than just a 4-letter word.
Yeah.
I think when you look at the performances this season, and I think you could kind of point to maybe her first 2 years in charge where there was a lot of turmoil from previous coaching staffs. She only had 8 players on the roster when she first came in to the University of Florida. And then look at the culture she built towards the end of that tenure. Look at the freshman and sophomore talent that were going to build this program up, and then look at a top 10 recruiting class last year, a top 5 recruiting class this year.
Yeah.
I think this is a program headed in the right direction, and it didn't make sense to me at first. And honestly, after 24 hours, I still haven't put my head around exactly why this happened.
Just rewinding like to a week ago, I remember having all of you all on here on This Week in Gators Sports. And while the Gators fell short to their season in the SEC tournament, overall, it seemed like there was a lot of optimism going into next season, right? In terms of, you talk about the recruiting class, you talk about the stability of this program overall, and this decision for it to come down just even a week later. What do you think may have led to potentially the decision that we saw yesterday? Macy.
I mean, there's plenty of theories, and I feel like all the Soccer Beat team has been doing was just asking questions. We're all confused. And I think just trying to come up with everything. I mean, David and I spent this morning looking at Bohan's contract, and there's a clause in there talking about performance, basically saying that due to a lack of performance, that could then, cause for termination. I just don't see this season being a lack of performance. Yes, we didn't win the SEC tournament, but if you look at how we did these past 3 years, the culture that Bohan had to come into, coming off a previous coach that, had some character issues, Bohan wasn't coming into a perfect situation. She had a lot of culture shifting to do. And I think, a high-performing program starts with a strong culture. And Bohan had to come in basically from the ground up and build this program back up, build that culture back. I mean, and she did that not just with the culture, but with the roster. And you look at the performance they've had this season. This is the best they've had under Bohan as head coach. I'm shocked. And they have a young roster, too. Like, it was only on the up from here, if you ask me.
Yeah.
It's just, this is crazy.
Absolutely. David, when you look at Florida Gators athletics and the resources, that's what we've been talking about. I feel like it's been a theme over the last month with Billy Napier's firing. Gator athletics, by far one of the strongest athletic programs in the country here in the SEC. Do you feel Bohan got the support that she needed to build a prominent soccer program?
One of the more valuable experiences I've had since covering this beat, and I know Macy and Hunter would say the same, is being able to make a connection with the coaches' parents the way we did. And they gave us a much more intimate perspective of how Bohan's time had gone. And one of the things that they emphasized was that Bohan always wanted to feel a bit more supported in the resources her program got, as if she was getting half of what other SEC coaches were dealing with in terms of money they could spend on the recruiting trail, trips they could take out to meet with recruits or transfer portal prospects. And when you think about the fact that Florida athletics is dominant in so many fields, in gymnastics, in basketball, in football at times, in baseball it's been successful, in softball, there's so many programs that have been boosted up through our athletic department that has made the Florida Gators the everything school, as they like to call it.
Right.
Florida Gators soccer is one of the few sports I can say didn't get the same level of backing, and I think part of the situation could have been Bohan being very vocal about it. She was a competitor, and she always emphasized it to us. She was always going to fight for what she thought was right and what she wanted to happen with her team. And I think being that vocal about what she needed for her team could have led to this decision in some way.
Let's talk about what happens next for this team. Again, and talking to one of the parents of one of the players last night, his response was, now we wait, right? Obviously, you're going to have a turnover with a new coach. Potential scholarships lost, a talented team, a youthful team. What happens next for the Gators?
I mean, you talk about talented, youthful team. The fact that this happened on signing day, like you had an even more talented, youthful generation coming into this program. Like now you just wonder, are they going to flip?
because there's just so much uncertainty. And I mean, even current players, we're so uncertain.
Yeah.
A, why this happened, B, where this is going to go, because no one saw this coming.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just really praying that, everyone banks on the strength of the program. And I think that the culture the team has built, even in the absence of Bohan, I really am praying it still continues that upwards trail. I mean, like we said, they have one of the youngest rosters, I think, that competed in the SEC tournament.
They had the youngest roster in the SEC tournament this year.
Yeah, like, you think about that. I'm like, again, only up from there, developing their chemistry, both with each other and, learning how they can fight against these other really competitive teams. Like, that bond was only going to grow.
Yeah.
And I'm praying that this isn't like a blip in the system for them, because I seriously see this program going so far.
David, who would be some of the key losses coming off of this roster if they don't stick around with the team for next season?
Well, you're already dealing with the fact that 4 senior players are leaving, 2 of those being starters in Laura McCloskey and Charlotte McClure, who are essential to the way this team operated in the past few years. I think that freshman class will end up sticking around because it's not the same way in other sports like football or basketball where players end up following their coaches. There isn't an NBA exactly for women's soccer that could funnel these players through. I think it ends up being where they pursue the best 4 years they can at UF. The players the freshmen, especially like Kai Chikaris and some of the other freshman pieces, will stick around. My concern is there were 2 top 10 recruits nationally in Florida's class. It was the top class in the state of Florida against a Florida State team that is number 6 in the country right now.
Yeah.
So to think that they could have risked some of the recruits because they jumped the gun on firing this coach until they could get assurances for these recruits, it's very concerning if you're a Florida Gators fan, because this is a soccer program that has won a quarter of the all-time SEC titles, and they really could have been back on their way to SEC contention. You just have to hope that you keep this really strong recruiting class together and build this program for the next few years.
Absolutely. Bohan still owed $750,000. Just the timing doesn't make any sense overall. It almost makes you want to wonder, is there another coach out there who's lurking?
It's possible.
Potentially
It's possible.
Wants this, position, whether they currently have a job, whether they're out of a job. Could that be a reason why Bohan is no longer here?
There was a couple comments online on Twitter, in the Twitter sphere, so you can take this with a grain of salt, but Mark Krikorian, the former Florida State coach who won back-to-back NCAA Division I titles with them in the 90s, was one of the names floated around because what Strickland seemed to be looking for in the next coach was pedigree. And Krikorian coached both Florida State to national titles, U.S. under-20 women's teams. There's a lot of experience there at the top level of women's soccer, so it could be an option, but a lot of it is just speculation at this point, because what do we really know? It's been 24 hours. I think in the next week we'll probably have a better hint as to where this Florida Gator soccer team is headed.
Absolutely. I know you guys are going to be working hard as well and trying to find some of these answers. Macy, as we wrap up here on This Week in Gator Sports, I have just one question. What do you think Bohan's legacy is here as the Gators soccer head coach?
I mean, it's a strong one. I feel like every time we've talked to her, even just in post-game interviews and even pre-game interviews, like, she's very strong in who she was as a person. I think she was an integral part in that strength of the team. I think that she definitely paved the path for the upwards trail for these Gators, and I think that she will definitely leave a very positive legacy. I'm just so curious to see what comes out, because again, I'm very, very confused.
Absolutely.
But you know what? I truly am just excited for this team, because I know that they have so far to go. And I know they have a lot of potential. Again, I'm shocked.
Yeah. David, any parting thoughts for you?
If I had to say what I think her legacy would be, I think a stepping stone to getting back to a championship trail, because it could have been her, but I think the foundation she laid with these players, with the new culture of Florida Gator soccer, and just with the connection that I felt this season that those Gators had with their fans, with the school as a whole, really will make a difference in the next few years.
Without question. That's David Lopez, Macy Meese, joining us here on This Week in Gators Sports. And breaking news, Samantha Bohan no longer the Gators soccer head coach. Shocker. But be sure to check out all their coverage on WRUF.com moving forward, as they will be digging for answers for us and for you all to figure out what's next for Gator soccer. David, Macy, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Abigail Justice, and I'm here with
Gabe Selvat.
And we're playing This or That Gator Sports, a night or noon game at the Swamp.
Night.
Game versus FSU or Georgia?
FSU.
Gators in March Madness or the College World Series?
March Madness all the day.
1-point win or a blowout victory?
It's those blowout victories. We need those. We need those wins.
UF homecoming or a rivalry game?
Rivalry game.
Albert or Alberta?
Albert.
Go Gators or it's great to be a Florida Gator?
Let's go Gators.
Back here on This Week in Gators Sports Overtime, and right now we're joined by our men's basketball beat reporter, Jesse Bratman. And Jesse, you know, we're 2-0. Or not we, but Florida Gators men's basketball, 2-0. But it hasn't looked pretty.
2-0.
Are they not 2-0?
I wish we were 2-0.
Oh, shit. 2-1. I forgot about the Arizona game.
I wish we were
2-1, right?
Yeah, 2-1.
All right, let me restart this. 'Cause I even said we. I'm just all over the place.
Okay.
I totally forgot about that Arizona game last Monday.
Trust me, I wish I could forget about it too.
Oh, man. All right.
Are you about to say we're 2-0 at home? I was like, oh. Ugh.
All right, here we go. You ready?
Yeah.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We're back here on This Week in Gators Sports Overtime. Right now, we're joined by our WRUF men's basketball beat reporter, Jesse Bratman. He's been covering the season long, even before the season, but we are 3 games in, and the Gators 2-1. They're on a 2-game winning streak. But, Jesse, I won't say it's been as pretty as we expected, particularly, North Florida beating them by 40 points. And then you look at Tuesday night against Florida State, narrow victory there, 78-76, and there's a lot to be said about this team. It is early in the season. Obviously, there's some new faces as well. Only 3 games in, but there are some serious concerns as
100%.
we look at this roster, we look at this performance. Let's start off with the shooting struggles. If this is going to be a 3-point team, which it seems like Todd Golden is going with the analytics and going with the numbers, and they are certainly chucking up threes, you have to make them. And so far this season, the Gators aren't knocking them down.
Yeah, I mean, especially our transfer guard, Xavier Lee out of Princeton, shot 1 for 10 again against Florida State. He's 6 for 34 on the season. Not the best math guy, but gotta be close. Gotta be close to or less than 20%. Which he's a career 36% 3-point shooter. So the ball is just simple as this. It's gonna have to go in the basket eventually, right? And I think the Florida Gators, Todd Golden, like you said, very high on analytics, and you see like they're not abandoning the 3, which for me kind of feels a little bit weird since the Gators are so long.
Yeah.
They can. Thomas Houck is 6'9" at the small forward, and you saw against FSU they dominated in points in the paint.
Right.
Alex Connon and Ruben Chinilu, they're playing high-low together. It's pretty much an unstoppable duo because Alex Connon was getting doubled against Florida State for the first time, and he has a wide-open man down low because both Florida State bigs are focused on Condon. So credit to Florida State. Before the game, they wanted to do 2 things: cause turnovers and make Florida shoot threes. And they did exactly that. Florida had a season-high 18 turnovers, really looked sloppy with the ball. Florida State was pressuring, especially Urban Klavzar when he was in the game. They were trapping him. And like we said against Arizona, when Urban's getting doubled, it's just he can't really see the court because he's 6'1" and 2 bigger defenders are on him. It's hard for him to make the right decision.
Yeah.
So credit to Florida State for doubling Condon and Urban, forcing those turnovers. They play very fast. They wanted Florida to play fast, and Florida matched their pace and shot a lot of threes. Again, didn't make the percentage they should have. And Florida State went 8 for 32. If that number is, 10, 11, this game, Florida won 78-60 or 78-76.
Yeah.
It's a lot different. Florida State went really cold from 3 in the second half. So Florida State stuck to its game plan against Florida, and this game could have been a lot different. And, had Robert McCray, the 5th, had an opportunity to tie the game. 15 seconds left. He missed a free throw that would have tied the game.
Right, yep.
There were opportunities for Florida State. Florida was 17.5-point favorites coming into this game.
It's crazy when you think about that, Jesse. And I think, again, as we look at this team coming off a national championship, certainly they're going to be high expectations. The bullseye's on the back, and you look at last year in their start, it honestly is eerily similar in terms of the shooting woes that we're seeing from this Gators team. The question is going to be whether or not they can fix it with the bullseye on their back, because this season is different, right? Where every team is looking to make their mark against the defending champions in the Gators, so certainly tougher or facing tougher competition heading into this season. Now, when you look at some of the players, you talked about some of them, but Alex Condon, again, another lackluster performance. How is he the key to the Gators' success moving forward?
I mean, he's an AP All-American player, and quite honestly, he showed that with 25 points and a double-double against UNF, but that's against a mid-major program. Alex Condon got straight-up bodied by Koa Pete against Arizona, let him drop 30 points, guarding him the entire game. And then coming into FSU, another kind of lackluster performance, only took 5 shots. Yeah. You can't have your best player only taking 5 shots, and it just seems like he was scared to go up with the ball. He had open opportunities down low, and even at the 3, I know the 3 ball hasn't been dropping for him, but your best player at the end of the day has to be taking shots, and we see that with Thomas Houck. He's dropping 20 probably each game because he's so aggressive, and when Florida needs a basket, they are going to Thomas Houck. They're saying, hey, get to your right, get downhill. Right. We saw a couple of dunks from Thomas Houck last night. He even sank 2 of 3 from 3, so that was a welcome sight, but it seems like Alex is a little timid offensively. Yeah. Played a great game defensively, had 3 blocks, but you can't have your best player afraid to shoot, simple as that. And when Condon is not willing to initiate offense, it really makes the Florida offense stagnant. Yeah. And you saw that against Florida State last night in a 2-possession game against a team we should have beaten by 20. So.
Yeah, without question. Now, you've been at men's basketball availability and have asked questions and heard Todd Golden speak. With the way this team has performed through the first 3 games, what are Golden's takeaways so far this season? What is he saying?
I mean, there are certainly silver linings with this team. It seems like, the narrative, this is a national championship team. You're shifting from being the hunter to the hunted this season. Definitely a mentality switch, and there are still some silver linings. Boogie Flan played an outstanding game. Finally hit his first 2 threes of the season, which was a very welcome sight after starting off 0 for 8. Boogie also had his first turnover of the season, so having your starting point guard only have 1 turnover through 3 games is very welcome. Yeah, Boogie's been playing well. Thomas Houck obviously been playing to a very high caliber level of basketball, cementing himself as a future lottery pick right now. So I feel like the public is kind of overreacting a little bit. Todd's kind of saying, hush down. We're only 3 games into the year. Okay. And last year, Walter Clayton Jr., through his first game, shot 25% from 3. Right. Xavier Lee, a little bit, lower on the percentage. But Todd Golden yesterday said, when he was asked about, are you going to stray away from Xavier and shooting 10 threes a game, he said he still has all the confidence in the world. And like what I like seeing from Xavier is, he's 1 for 10, but he is shooting the rock. Yeah. And when those shots start to fall, which, 36% 3-point shooter, they will eventually. I'm just glad to see that the confidence isn't dwindling. Yeah. So there's a lot to be optimistic about. Todd Golden, obviously an amazing coach. And Ruben Chinyelu played an amazing game. He had a career-high 16 rebounds last night. So there are some performances that you are seeing that are getting better in 3 games in the season. Now against Duke and UConn, the Gators aren't going to be able to play like they have been in their 3 games. You saw it against number 13 Arizona, who's now 5. You're not going to be able to miss 30 shots a game against those formidable opponents. So
without question,
a lot to learn. But I think Todd Golden is still confident in the squad he has.
Yeah, and I'm just curious, Jesse. I mean, I think is the early season performance more an indictment on this roster, or do you think that this is sort of an outlier? Do you agree with Todd Golden in that they will find a way to knock down these shots and they will look like the same dominant team that we saw? Well, not necessarily dominant. I mean, they won a lot of close games, but at least a national championship team. Will we see shades of that? Because if you ask me, I haven't seen it. Yeah, I haven't seen it. I mean, when you look at the Eagles, for example, coming off of their Super Bowl, they're still finding ways to win games, and certainly they've had their bumps in the road this season. But I just haven't seen that same fire from this Gators team. And so my question for you is whether or not you believe Golden. Will they be able to find a way to look like a national championship team?
I certainly do believe him. At the end of the day, it's not like the Gators are getting clamped on defense and really forcing shots.
Yeah.
The shots they've been missing are pretty wide open, which is why I have some sort of optimism. And I think if you shift, the narrative to let's shoot a lot of threes because, 3 is greater than 2, and that's what the analytics say.
Right.
Florida has a backcourt of Thomas Houck, Alex Condon, Ruben Chinilu, Micah Hanlon, all over 6'9". If you play those 4 in a high-low, I really don't see really any college basketball team being able to compete with the size they have. I would really like to see Todd Golden put more of an emphasis on his front court scoring-wise. Defensively, they kept the Gators in the game against Florida State with, 10 blocks, pushing tempo off of turnovers, leading in second chance points, offensive rebounds, and fast break points. That's what kept Florida in the game. Is it kept to its identity of hustle, offensive rebound, and blocking shots with its length.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to see that defensive emphasis transfer over on the offensive end.
Yeah.
I think there is a recipe for success. Yes, have we not seen that yet?
Yeah.
But we're 3 games into the season.
Right.
Todd Golden doesn't have his rotation yet.
Yeah.
He's kind of been playing with the chess pieces with Isaiah Brown and CJ Ingram. CJ Ingram only got 1 minute to play last night. Isaiah Brown got 6 minutes. Urban Clavzar played 20 minutes. So he's still figuring out his chess pieces he has on the bench. Obviously the season is young.
Yeah.
Am I concerned a little bit? Am I scared? No.
When you look at the crowd, you were at the game on Tuesday, Florida State rivalry game, obviously. Looking at the crowd, you're not panicked, but just the fan base. And we've seen some of the chatter on social media as well. But when you're inside the building, especially in that Florida State game, what's the sense that you get from this Gators fan base?
When we're up, we're up. When we're down, we're down, and they will let you hear it.
Yeah.
The Gators were down 40-37 at half, and I haven't heard the O-Dome quiet like that in a while, just because you're expecting to punch Florida State in the mouth. Todd Golden has never lost to Florida State in his stint with Florida. This was Florida's 5th straight win against Florida State, and the precedent has always been we're a better basketball program, and when Florida State is leading at half, there's going to be some crickets, but, Boogie Flan hit his first 3 of the year to make it a 2-point game. The O-Dome was rocking. I know Ruben Chinilu had a lob from Alex Condon that tied the game. That had the O-Dome rocking. So, they call the Florida Gators fans the 6th man for a reason. When the Gators are jumping, the O-Dome is also jumping with it.
Yeah.
So, as long as Florida can maintain, make it a close game, that 6-man mentality, it really is an advantage for Florida.
Yeah, without question, especially playing at home now. Looking ahead, they'll be away from home in Jacksonville. Another in-state rival in Miami against the Hurricanes. You look at Miami undefeated right now, led by Malik Renew and Trey Donaldson as well. What's your takeaway, or what's your preview, I should say, heading into that matchup, especially from what we've seen from the Gators through this first 3 games?
Yeah, Miami is a more talented team than Florida State. Like you said, Malik Reneau and Trey Donaldson. Malik comes from Indiana. Trey Donaldson played at Auburn his freshman year as a starter. He started at point guard and then went to Michigan as a starting point guard. So he has a lot of college basketball experience, a little better than Robert McCray, who came from Jacksonville. Malik Reneau was one of the best big men in the Big 12, got a huge NIL at Miami. So this is a better team that you're seeing, and in a new, quote-unquote neutral location. So it's probably going to be, maybe 55-45 Florida in this matchup.
Yeah.
Florida is going to have to play to its standard of basketball. I would really like to see them avoid shooting as many threes as they are, unless, they finally figure out how to knock it in. But I just think the game plan in the Florida, again, it's going to have height on almost any team in the country. Malik Reneau is only 6'9", and he's their starting center. So once again, and even FSU, Florida had so much height on them and really still stuck to the perimeter. You saw Todd Golden play a lineup of Clavzar, Fland, and Lee, which I thought was a little interesting because why go 3 guards when size is the advantage. So I don't think they'll go 3 guard against Miami. I really think they're on getting the ball down low, dominating on offensive rebound, defensive rebound, points in the paint. And I think that is the recipe to success unless the Florida Gators can finally figure out how to get it in from 3. Boogie Fland really showed me some optimism that the first 3 he made was off a pick and roll, off the dribble, and it just seemed like he wasn't thinking. His other 8 attempts, it thought like man, I haven't made it yet. Like, there's kind of a lid on the rim.
Yeah.
The first three he made, it felt smooth. It felt in rhythm. And he got and once you get a couple of threes going, he had a lucky corner three. He got a little bounce, nice shooter's touch, as he said in his presser. When you're hot, you're hot. So I hope Boogie can really take over offensively as well against Miami. Is this a very winnable game? Yes. If Florida comes out like it played in the first half against FSU, it's probably going to be a lot bigger of a deficit than 3. And crawling, from a double-digit deficit against Miami, it's going to be a tough task. So
yeah,
I'm very excited to see.
Joined by Jesse Bratman, our WRUF men's basketball beat reporter. Jesse, let's call it. What's your prediction? Do the Gators get a win? Do they improve to 3-1, or do they drop to 500?
I think this is going to be a Gators win. Should be a Gators double-digit win. I think this Florida State game really, ignited a fire. And never should they have been trailing in that game, let alone for how long they did. I think there's finally going to be some fire. There's finally some more confidence in our backcourt. Yeah. Even Urban Klavzar, who's been getting a bulk of the bench minutes, hit a huge corner three at the end of the game to make it 74-70. I'm sure that was his first three of the game also. So there's some momentum after Florida State. I think this is a statement game because Miami is the best team they've faced since Arizona. If they can beat Miami from double digits, that's going to set the precedent going into UConn and Duke. So I think this is a really big game. This is not a look-ahead game to UConn and Duke because Miami is an upper ACC level talent. So, but I think this should be a 10, 11 point Florida win.
Some news just in, Jesse. Gators have signed Jones Lay. Lay out of Moravian Prep. 7-footer. 7-footer who was signed to the 2026 class. He's a 3-star prospect, according to ESPN and Rivals. And so, of course, a Sunday's game, but Golden already putting in some work for next season.
I know. Jones he's been climbing up the ranks as well. I know he was unranked when I think he verbally committed to Florida. So now that he officially signed, I believe he's a 3-star on Rivals and 247. So big news. Especially we're gonna need the Gators are gonna need some front court after presumably Micah Hayloton's graduating. Presumably Thomas Houck and Alex Conner go to the draft. So having another 7-foot presence on your roster is never a bad thing.
I was going to say, man, Golden loves his 7-footers. As
I
we
know,
can see. Now, to your point, though, use them.
I know.
Use them.
It really is frustrating. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. And for these past 3 games, it really does feel like they're doing the same thing over and over again. And they're not really getting a different result.
Right.
So.
Yeah. All right, Jesse, that'll do it for us on WRUF. We want to thank you so much for coming on to This Week in Gators Sports Overtime. Be sure to check out Jesse's work on WRUF.com. He'll be in the building. You going down to Jacksonville Sunday? He'll be in the building in Jacksonville for the Jacksonville Hoops Showdown against Miami, another in-state rival there in Miami. And, of course, you'll be back on This Week in Gators Sports Overtime. We're actually doubling up. This Week in Gators Sports and This Week in Gators Sports Overtime to talk more men's basketball hoops. Jesse, thank you.
Thank you.